Hey, you did it. You found it. You found the podcast version of the show. It's Writer Radio. Here are the things you need to know. We stream live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time at writerradio.com. 2, you can find every episode on YouTube, youtube.com/@writerradio. We're on Spotify, same name, Writer Radio. We are on Twitter or X @BradWriter, BradRiter. We're on Instagram @Writer Radio. There's a group now, Writer Radio Facebook group. Go there, find that, follow that, like it, whatever you have to do. We've got a phone number. You can send texts, leave voicemail, 716-288-5246. Email, bradwriter@gmail.com. You don't need to memorize this. It can all be found at writerradio.com. That's the hub. But those are the places. Thanks for listening. Please tell a friend. Please share. That's how we grow. Glad to have you on board to the podcast version of Writer Radio. All right is right. In a perfect world right now, I would be beginning a conversation with you. I call it a conversation, even though it's mostly just me talking. We're guests on and stuff. Scott Wilson will be here in like an hour. But ideally, perfect world. Conversation right now would be about the fact that football has arrived. Like, this is the day that I feel that it's really coming, because I had my fantasy draft, which involved a trip. Went to Saratoga. Had a big, long fantasy draft, auction style. Took forever like it always does, but that's fine, because it's just hanging out with all my friends. So that's cool. I don't mind that taking a long time, but it took a long time. We've got 14 teams. All right. Times, I think, 14 players on a roster. Couple breaks in between. Many, many jokes. Couple drinks. It's a long day. This follows a trip to the racetrack the day before. Also just driving across the state with my friends. But you start, and then, of course, because we're in a football mood, people are talking to me about UB football. Like, when does that start? I'm like, the 28th, a week from Thursday. Oh my God, here we go. Like, we're 10 days away from kickoff at Minnesota. So there's that. There's the draft. There's just hanging out with all of my friends who like football. Everybody likes football. Everybody in my circle likes football. But there's a lot of talk about football. A lot of, I didn't pay a ton of attention to the draft this year. I didn't pay a ton of attention to free agency this year. But now's the time when it starts coming to focus, when it's like, oh, we're drafting. And then somebody picks a guy, like, well, where's he now? And you find out that kind of stuff. So it's like my brain is flipping into football mode. Get back from Saratoga yesterday afternoon, knowing full well that I'm going to go to my sister's house in like Boston, Hamburg, Boston, Colden, New York, whatever. South Towns. Going to go to that for my mom's birthday. So got home, got organized a little bit from being out of town for a couple days, and then quickly into the car, heading out there, but had to get out of there by, I was hoping for 20 to 8, so that I'd be back in time for kickoff of Bills-Bears, because that was important to me. There's going to be a game on Fox, national TV. It's not just your Andrew Catalon, Steve Tasker local broadcast thing. There's a real crew. It was, what's his name, Joe Davis and Greg Olson, who typically do a great job. And I thought they were fine yesterday. The game just was not enjoyable whatsoever. Now, what we saw were two different teams with two entirely different intentions for the day / goals for the year. So, first thing the Bears need to do is make Caleb Williams believe that he's the guy who was worthy of being the first overall pick. And put that in his brain, and then put that in his teammates' brains, and then put that in the fans' brains and the coaching staff's brains. The most important thing for that team is to get them back to respectability. To get the number one pick, you got to be in a pretty dark spot, and that's where the Bears have been for quite some time. And do they have a quarterback? That's the question. Figure out if we've got a guy, and what a great way to build confidence. putting in your number one offensive unit with all your skilled players. Remember all the hype surrounding the Bears last year? Nothing really came to fruition, although Williams did throw for 3,500 yards or something like that, 34-28 or whatever the number was. There were things to like, but he also got sacked a ton. I was going to say more than anyone in history. I think that might be an exaggeration, but I believe led the league. It was bad news. And he's tough, and he fought through it. And he came out there yesterday and looked awesome. My goal to get home for 8 o'clock did not work. I miscalculated, and if you've got kids and you're trying to get out of something, especially like them hanging out playing with their cousins that they don't see very often, it's tough to get them in the car. And I thought it was like 25 after 7, and I was going to tell them, hey, we got to go. But I looked, and it was already 20-8. So we ended up missing the beginning of the game, had it on the radio in the car, and when I got in the house, just the very beginning, so we knew the Bills kicked off, the Bears were starting at the 7-yard line, and that was that. That's all I knew. Oh, and then they completed a 9-yard pass, and then I got out of the car. So that's all we missed. Opening kickoff, one play, out of the car, walk into the house, turn on TV. As much as I love these smart TVs, it's just never as quick to get to the thing you're trying to watch. This really only applies to sporting events. But I very often am hurrying to get home in time for the start of a game. And it's always a couple minutes to get through the remote not quite doing what you want it to do, and then you got to find the correct app for the YouTube TV, which is what we use here, and then you got to get from live to home. You got to find the show. Gone are the days of turning on the TV and there's the thing. It's got to warm up a little bit. So while we've improved technologically in many standpoints with the way that we can watch television now, the amount of time it takes to turn on the thing. You can't run in the house and turn on the game. It's run in the house to turn on the TV and wait for that thing to come on and then wait for this and wait for this software update. And it's a little clunky. By the time I got the thing on, I heard the first words I heard in the broadcast. There's still a bunch of crap on the screen, so I can't see what's behind it. But the first words I hear are, on to try the extra point. There's still stuff on the screen, so I don't know who's on to try the extra point. I don't know which team scored. Last I knew, the Bears were at their own 16-yard line, and it did not take that long for me to get from the driveway into the family room and turn on the TV. So it's only been a couple minutes, and someone's already in the end zone. So did the Bears just have a 70-yard touchdown pass? Or, more likely, did the Bears, who turned the ball over a lot last year, were intercepted a lot last year, fumbled a lot last year, didn't score an opening drive touchdown in the regular season last year, which was more likely at that point? Last I knew, it was 2nd and 1 at the 16-yard line of the Bears. Bears at their own 16. That's the last thing I knew. And then the next thing I hear is extra point. I immediately make it so that I can't see. Like, I don't remember exactly what I did, but I pushed it. Oh, I know. I just hit rewind. I did not want to know who was on the field, and I left stuff on the screen so I couldn't see it because I wanted to start from the beginning because I thought, hey, this was pretty quick. This might be a pick six. Might be a fumble recovery for a touchdown. This could be exciting. And I told my son this is going to be either really good or really bad. Turned out to be really bad. It was a 93-yard drive that went real quickly. And it put the Bills in a 7-0 hole. No big deal. They'll come out. Yeah, the starters aren't playing. But I feel good about the depth of this team. But the offense did nothing. And then the defense did nothing. And it was 28-0 by the end of the half. I did see the Bills score a touchdown. There was the fumble recovery that clearly was not a fumble. It was just an interception. But a defensive player, I'm going to screw it up if I try to. It was one of the Dwayne Carter, maybe. It was a big dude. Got in the end zone, and they had to put the 6 up on the board, although we knew immediately the 6 was going to come off the board. But I did briefly get to see a 6 on the board for the Bills. You had to – don't blink, or you're going to miss the part where they had 6 points because they took them away immediately. The Bills got the ball back at the very end of the half, got to attempt a 56-yard field goal. That went terribly. And then they never scored again, or they never scored at all. Second half was just more ugliness. And it was no longer, oh, those are the ones against all the guys that are getting cut. It was guys getting cut against guys getting cut, and, scheme didn't look at it. Just, ugh. It felt gross. It meant nothing. But, like, in the car on the way back from my sister's house, I'm explaining to my wife that I want to be home. She's like, well, I don't really care about the preseason game. I was like, well, I don't care about it either, but it's on. And she's like, are the starters playing? Like, no, they're not. You're not going to see Josh or anything. It's not real. But it's still our guys. And I think that's kind of how Sean McDermott ended up feeling. Because reading his comments afterward, I mean, there aren't a lot of good things to say after a shutout, blowout loss, 38-0, outgained 528 to 180. There's not a lot there to say, or to enjoy, I should say. And it's tough. McDermott's got to go talk after that game. It's not a real game, but he's got to really go talk to people. He's got to really go answer questions about what he just witnessed. And I appreciate that he's not out there apologizing. Well, those weren't our real players. We know that. But it still looked really, the team looked confused, looked lost. But it's not the team. But he still had to address it. So of the people who are expected to start and play significantly, only 2 of them were in the game at all. And it's both guys that have been injured and missed time, so they wanted to force in, a few extra reps. For Cole Bishop at safety and for the new receiver, Josh Palmer, who both participated minimally, but still were not, they weren't a real part of it. What does it say? Bishop played 11 snaps. Palmer played 8 snaps. So those guys were involved, but not with their real teammates. So none of this matters. None of it. But I like that McDermott spoke that way. Spoke the way he did. He said, certainly not up to our standard, what we expect. Got a lot of work to do. That's very clear. Doesn't matter who's out there, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, whoever it is, we expect them to perform, and we expect our level of performance to be much better than that, and that's right. But not only did you run into 2 different, or a team that had a completely different plan for the night than you did. The Bills' primary plan for the night was, can we just skip this one and get to the next one so we can kind of skip that one and get to the regular season because we'd like to play the Ravens in a couple weeks, please. That's the Bills' plan. We're not going to bring our team to this one. We're not going to empty a single round of ammunition in this game. We're going to put the kids out there. We're going to let the veteran QBs fight for a backup role, and the final score doesn't matter. But then even with that approach, 38-0 was rough. He says, get out there and playing against their 1s. We expect to compete with them. And that wasn't the case early. And then our 2s, who were out there against their 2s, and our 3s against their 3s, it didn't get much better. Yeah, that's the point I'm making. Thanks, Sean. So we've got to look at it, figure some things out, and evaluate some of the guys as well and see where we stand there. A lot of work to get done this week as we move forward. I'm not going to point fingers because I'm not a coach and I don't analyze film and I don't know what they're trying to do while they're out there. I just watch football like a fan. But that certainly felt like the kind of night where somebody lost a job. You know, the whole golf thing where you can't win a tournament on Thursday, but you can lose it. I feel like some people lost the tournament of making the Bills yesterday. I don't know who they are, but as wide receivers are running free and, we're watching 93-yard. Well, how long were the drives? There were multiple just, I got to get the box score here. Do I care? Do I care enough about this? Yeah, I do. I want to see how bad the drive situation was. Because I feel like defensively there were some problems. I don't know if anybody lost their job on offense. I don't know how much information was gleaned with regard to who's going to be the backup quarterback even. Might they keep all 3? They'll probably keep Josh. And then is there room on the roster for both Trubisky and White? Maybe one's a practice squad guy. I have a feeling they'll be around with Shane Buechele probably on the way out. But let's see if I can go box score. Will that give me drive summaries, play-by-play, team stats, recap? No, I just wanted the length of drives. I like covering college football where they hand me stuff on paper and it gives me the full, everything I could possibly need is there, and I know how to look for that. But trying to find quickly the numbers from the drives is not happening for me. I can see the touchdown drives. All right, that'll work, since all the drives I didn't like were touchdown drives anyway. 92-yard drive, 86-yard drive, 61-yard drive, 84-yard drive, 86-yard drive. Good God. 86, 80 in order by length. 92, 86, 86, 84, 61. Yikes. Plus a field goal drive that was just 25 yards. So that was good. But, yeah, there were some defensive things that happened yesterday that I think are probably going to cost some people their ability to make the team. I don't know who they are, but from the tone of Sean McDermott afterward, look, I wasn't expecting much, but then I got so much less in that game. You're supposed to go lose this game to the Bears. They care, you don't. They're trying to build something. You're trying to rest for the regular season. I get it. It's just not supposed to be 38-0 with missed tackles and receivers running free. I do have this question. And I think if I'm in Chicago right now, I'm pumped, right? Because you just went out. Like if you're the Bears, this is a great situation. Beat the Bills' uniforms. No, it's not the Bills, but it's a uniform. So it feels like you're beating the Bills. And everything, you got to feel great about Caleb Williams today. You got to feel great about the offense that you thought you were going to have last year. Remember all that hype about how good this team was going to be because they brought in this free agent and they drafted a Dunze, and I can't think of the free agent, but there's a receiver free agent that they added, maybe two of them that they added last year. Was one of them Elijah Moore, maybe? It doesn't matter. Right now, there was so much hype. This time a year ago, there was a ton of hype on that team. And it didn't really come through completely. So they tweaked, modified, get ready to go into year 2 here. And then you go out and you beat the Bills uniforms. And you dissect that team. And to see people just running wide open, and this leads to my question. How is it that Ben Johnson leaves Detroit and the world knows what Ben Johnson did offensively? And by world, I mean the NFL world. Like defensive coordinators have tons and tons and tons of film on what the Lions were able to do exactly, to look exactly the way that the Bears did last night, except in real life. With just receivers everywhere running free, and you've got speed in the backfield that helps with that, and you've got a quarterback making smart decisions and getting the ball out, but it's all Ben Johnson taking what we liked about the Lions offense and applying it to the Bears. Shouldn't that translate to game film? And maybe the answer is, yeah, they legit did not prepare at all to face this team. They went into a weekend of, hey, we're going to practice against them, and then we've got this scrimmage on Sunday. See how it goes. Maybe that's all it is. But it does seem to me that you're not getting a rookie play caller. You're transferring a playbook from Detroit to Chicago. And I'm sure there are tweaks, and it's different with different personnel. But generally speaking, this playbook didn't come down from heaven and get dropped in the Bears' lap. This playbook it's on film with different players from the previous success with Detroit, and I just don't see how that can just translate from one team to another without there being some sort of interruption in what they're trying to do. So if I'm a Bears fan right now, I feel great. Like, oh, good. Our number one pick is something. These receivers are something. These tight ends, especially the rookie tight end, are something. Cole Kmet's still there, too. And we've got a head coach who's giving us some offense. The Bears never have offense. I remember talking with Reuben Brown back in the day when he had played a long time for the Bills and then went and played briefly for the Bears, maybe 3 years, maybe even 4 with the Bears. But he came back, and we were doing a radio show, and he was saying how they still talk about Sid Luckman. You look at the Bears' history at quarterback. Like, let's just bear with me for a second. Bear with me. I didn't even mean to do that. Oh, sometimes the talent, man, it's just you don't know it's there, and then it's just bang. Suddenly you're making Bear jokes. Bear with me. That's pretty good. All right, Bears football reference. And then I want to look at their team records, team leaders, Career leaders. Here we go. Career leaders passing. Here's what we know about the Bears. Oh, congratulations to Jay Cutler, who finally did it. But when I talked to Ruben pre-Cutler, right around the same time, actually, Cutler was there from 09 through 16. But when I was talking to Ruben, it was after he retired, right around the time Cutler was there. In fact, he was there. He said it's about time they got somebody in there because all of their passing records are held by a dude named Sid Luckman. Like a Sid Luckman. He retired in 1950. And he was their leading passer until 5 minutes ago. Well, until Jay Cutler, who was there from 09 through 16. But here are the quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks, passing yards in Chicago Bears history. It's Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler blew Luckman away. 23,000 for him. Luckman, almost 15,000. So it was Cutler, Luckman, Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, Jim McMahon, Mitch Trubisky, 5th all-time passing leader for the Chicago Bears. Eric Kramer is 6th. Then we get to Billy Wade, who played from 1961 to 66. Ed Brown, who retired in 61. Bob Avellini, who was there from 75 to 84. And then Justin Fields, who was there for 3 years and threw for about 6,700 yards. The new guy, Caleb Williams, is already at 22. If he has the same season again, he will jump to the top 10. If he has the same season in his second year that he had in his first, he'll be top 10. So here's the point. They are starving for quarterback play in that town. And if I'm rooting for the Bears, and I like the Bears, and I want Williams to succeed, I am very happy today that it looks like Williams and Ben Johnson are on the same page. And these receivers we talked about last year, it's all going to work. It's all happening. I'm pumped if I'm the Bears. I am absolutely, when you live in a world of, man, I just want my team to be relevant. Man, I just want to be near the playoffs. Man, I just want to play relevant. Remember this? Man, I just hope we're playing games that matter in December. Remember 17 years spent looking for that? If I'm the Bears, I feel great about the fact. It might be a false positive because you played against a non-football team yesterday. You played against non-starters that clearly didn't seem to have a plan in place for you. But you still saw it. You still got it on tape. It was still on TV. You can keep it in your DVR or whatever you use to record that. You can just keep watching that. Just keep watching that first drive and dreaming about what's happening. But there's a different approach in Buffalo. The approach in Buffalo is that nothing matters until January. So you can lose 38-0 to the Bears. I'm sure I'm not the only one who started thinking about, as it got to, I don't know, so maybe it was like 21-0, and I started thinking about Marv Levy and the Bills, who would just dump 4 preseason games and then come out smoking in the opener on a regular basis. I'd have to go back and check to see how accurate that is, but they did not win a lot of preseason games in Marv Levy's tenure as the head coach, and they won a lot of playoff games. So the goal for the Bills is get me to September so you can get me to February. The goal of the Bears is, hey, let's have some fun and try to turn this into a football team. 2 different goals, 2 different mindsets, 2 different plans. It still looked uglier than I wanted it to. It was less entertaining than I wanted it to be. Like I said, my wife had no interest in the game, and so I came in and I watched. She went upstairs to do something. I went up to report to her that she had missed nothing at halftime when it was 28-0. And then I proudly reported to her this morning that she missed nothing in the second half either because, it was 10-0 in the second half. But 38-0 final. That's it. Bears over Bills. Moving on. It took a little of the steam out of my here comes football thing. Scott Wilson will be on. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. But UB football opens a week from Thursday. So a week from Wednesday, I'll be in Minnesota, which is exciting. And this is going to be a good year. Very pumped for that. And then a week and a half after that, the Bills are playing. So it's here. Football's here. I have a fantasy football team. I'm back. That part, like, This is the sequence. This is when football kicks in. It's fantasy draft is one weekend. UB opens the next weekend. The Bills open the next weekend. And that means football is here. It does not mean that this entire show is going to be sports related. It's never going to be only one thing. It's always going to be what makes sense, what is interesting, what is fun about right now. But I'm here to tell you that I'm feeling football, and then 38-0 kind of put a damper on things as I was watching that mess last night. It is Writer Radio. It's episode 146. You are free to stream it at writerradio.com. The podcast version will post shortly thereafter. Didn't put up a podcast version of Friday's show because Friday's show was just a combination of Monday through Thursday's shows, just interviews that are already in podcast form. So I didn't make that into a podcast plus. I didn't have the ability to edit it down while I was on the New York State Thruway. The way the show worked on Friday was perfect. I had everything set up. I talked. I put music in. I played interviews. I don't like interview. It's the wrong word. But like conversations with our regular guests, with Bob, with Scott, with John. Put it all together with music and then left it ready for my 13-year-old son to hit play. And he did it. He needed to come into the basement, hit start, press play on a file, and then walk away, and then come back 3 hours later and hit stop, and he did it. So very proud of my man Zach, who gets executive producer credit. Nah, not executive. Technical producer credit on episode 145. So we're at 146, and glad to have you on board. Feel free to share this link with people. The more people we get listening, the better it's going to be for everyone involved. More people involved, more diverse opinions, more interesting thoughts, funnier jokes, more links to fun stories to talk about, all that kind of stuff. So the more people we get involved, the better. We do have a phone number I never promote because I still haven't found a way to use it all the time. But you can leave voicemails. You can send text messages to 716-288-5246. All of this information is available at writerradio.com. Follow me on Twitter /X at Brad Writer. There's a Facebook group now, a Writer Radio Facebook group you can join or follow, or what's the other one? Like, follow. It's not join. Anyway, that's there. WriterRadio.com is the answer. That's the hub for everything. And it's still a process. Everything's still a process. But we're at episode 146, which means this is the 46th time I've done a show from home. Not counting the two I've done from cars on the Thruway. But it worked out. Everything's cool. We're back to regular live Writer Radio today, and then podcast form after that. All right. What do we have? Let's go into the chat. Arbo says it's preseason. Third stringers against first stringers. Everyone calm down. We're still winning the Super Bowl. Yes. But also, don't you feel a little worse today than you expect to feel on most Monday mornings? Yeah. Because it's not like if they lose 28-24, I'm fine. I'm fine with 38-0 also. But I'm actually fine with, hey, yeah, there were some good things. There were some bad things. I didn't see any good things. Were there good things? They had a, fumble return for a touchdown that wasn't because it was just an incomplete pass. They got a stop late in the first half, giving them the ability to try a field goal. That didn't go well. I guess that was kind of good. They had a 33-yard pass to Shavers. Oh, yeah, Shavers. Shavers is kind of cool. All right? It seems like this is probably the year where he makes it. I don't have insight, though. I don't have a guy that's, on the sidelines at camp the whole time. I don't have a Bills beat reporter, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. So I don't know. I don't know what the math looks like there. I mean, to me, it's Coleman for sure, and Palmer for sure, and Shakir for sure. And then I don't have any other for sures on that wide receiver list. And we'll have a conversation with somebody soon who's got a little bit more insight than I do on that. But there's a whole pile of receivers. I'm like, yeah, maybe. It sounds like McDermott kind of called out the Curtis Samuel, or not called him out, but spoke honestly about the Curtis Samuel situation. He's a guy I forget is on the team because he signed last year, and we've seen him just about not at all. Is he a guy that has a shot to make the? I mean, I guess they all do. Elijah Moore, like there are some names that you would think, oh yeah, cool, he's in the mix, but I don't know. Other than the three that I said right off the top that I would expect to be starters in Coleman, Palmer, and Shakir, I don't know what you do with Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, Tyrell Shavers, Laviska Shenault, Caden Prather, KG Hamler, Deion Kane, Christian Wilkerson, and Steven Gosnell. I don't know. I don't know what happens there. I think those first three are locks, and then some combination, 2 or 3 of the rest of them I would expect to be on the team. 1 or 2 more maybe on the practice squad. The return game certainly factors in here, and that might involve Shenault. Or is Codrington just considered the return specialist, despite the fact that we're seeing him play some DB in the preseason? I don't know. I don't have enough insight, but that's something to keep an eye on. Because I get excited about the idea. I love when they sign veteran receivers. I like when they sign people I've heard of. So do you. But then those people you've heard of have to be better than the undrafted free agent from 2 years ago who's been making noise in training camp for 3 seasons now and has not yet done anything in the regular season. I don't know. Shavers is interesting. Kind of a different shaped body at the position. Doesn't really blend in. Like he gets the ball. He's in the open field. You know it's him. And I like that. I also like seeing number 80 in use again. That's fun. I feel like 80 was just it was Jerry Butler. When I was a kid, it was Lofton. During the Super Bowl era, it was Molds. That's a fun number. Bills are better, it seems, when they're getting dynamic production from number 80 at wide receiver. And while the majority of receivers are now in these single digits in the teens, I still got a lot of respect for 80. 80's Jerry Rice, man. Wide receivers should want to wear 80. And it's cool and trendy to be number 1. I'm a receiver, but I'm number 6. Like, all right. This is all Keyshawn Johnson's fault, isn't it? Didn't he start the trend of teen numbers for receivers? And then eventually he's like, fine. Everybody do it. Do whatever you want. But that makes 80 go away, and 80 is like the classic number. It's like taking 12 away from quarterbacks. I don't want to see 12 doing anything but playing quarterback, ever. That's what that number is for. That's what that number means. Now, number 12 means quarterback. So no switching that. I feel like there was a Saints receiver that wore 12, whether it was like in that Lance Moore era. Marcus Colston. I think he was 13 or 14. The Saints, Lance Moore, I just said him. I feel like they started this teen thing. But good to see 80 back and productive. I mean, it wasn't super productive yesterday, but made a couple plays. Made you notice him. I like that. All right. Does anyone else have a problem with Matthew McConaughey being involved in the sidelines and promotional media with Texas football? All right off the bat, I'm going to say, no, I don't. I'm happy to see him just about every time I see him. Let's go with detail, though. He acts like he's a 4-time Heisman winner and a football alum. Am I right? Yes. He is widely associated with Texas. He is loosely associated with football because Randall Pink Floyd was the quarterback in Dazed and Confused, and he hung out with him. I don't know if Wooderson played football. He's not in school anymore, so we don't know. I think, yes, I think he does refer back to his playing days. Is there a Wooderson Wikipedia page? There's got to be, right? No, not Sidney Wooderson. David Wooderson. There we go. All right. Did Wooderson play football? Here's what we know about Wooderson. Nicknames are Wooderson and Woody. David Jonathan Wooderson. Lives on Cottonwood Street in Goodyear, Arizona. What's that? You can find him at the Emporium in Austin, YMCA in Arizona, or high school anywhere. Dream vacation is Paris with a hot chick. Favorite place to go anywhere there are high school girls. Favorite place to go on vacation, Austin. Common catchphrase, all right, all right, all right. Typical attire, rock band t-shirt, tight pants, cowboy boots, chain necklace, Flowered swim trunks for kicks. Best color to wear, orange. There's a Texas thing. What? Did he play football? I don't remember if he played football. But I think he might think he played football because he hung out with Randall Pink Floyd in a movie 32 years ago. This might be another Dean Cain Superman type of situation where because of the fact that people associate him with the thing, he thinks he was the thing. So Wooderson in Dazed and Confused certainly carried himself as though he used to play football, although he was much older at the time than the students because he had, I don't know if he graduated, but he just wasn't there anymore. Probably graduated, I would think. Seemed to have it together pretty nicely, despite being high all the time. But yeah, I think we're into a little bit of a Dean Cain situation. McConaughey and Texas football, he feels a natural connection because he did that. He did Texas football, but really it was just a movie where he played an older student hanging out with kids who played football, including Randall Floyd. And now it's been 32 years, and now he's on the sidelines with Texas, and it seems right, but I think you're right to call it out, Jay Miller, that maybe that's a bad fit. I'm with you. I was really rooting for Joe Andreessen. I don't think that was the game he was hoping for. He's probably nervous about the final cut. I think that's right. There were moments where, like, there was one play in particular, it might have been the first touchdown, where it was like, oh, good, there's Cole Bishop. Oh, good, there's Joe Andreessen. Oh, no, there's a touchdown right between them. Now, again, I don't know scheme. I don't know who did what incorrectly, and you never do. I mean, if you're watching guys miss open field tackles, you know that was their fault. If you're watching man coverage and a corner gets burned, you know it was his fault to a certain extent. Part of it's pass rush, not getting home. But, like, you can judge that. But when a ball is thrown over the middle, I don't automatically blame the people closest to the ball for being the ones who allowed the thing to happen, because maybe they were covering for somebody else who was really supposed to be there. And, like, I've seen Little League games where a kid is standing in foul territory looking at the snack stand when the ball gets hit to left field. That's his problem. Like, we know for sure what he's supposed to do. In baseball, I know what your job is. We have to think about, what was the play call? There's none of that in football. In baseball. If you're the left fielder and you're in foul territory and you're looking further foul and the ball gets hit to left field, I'm like, that left fielder made a mistake. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty clear. Maybe that's what I like about baseball. It's so clear cut. Who did what right? Who did what wrong? It's a team game, but you can see the individual things that are happening. Football, it's an amoeba. The whole offense and defense, the way that it's moving, it's a wave, and I don't know. I don't know for sure. I know what it looked like, and I know that there was a play where I thought, all right, Cole Bishop is a guy I'm really rooting for, and Joe Andreessen's a guy I'm really rooting for, and I don't like how that guy just scored a touchdown right between them. But that's the farthest I can go. I can't commit to telling you who messed up. But, yeah, it wasn't. I mean, no one stood out. If you had to make a team, a 53-man roster, out of what you saw yesterday, you'd be hard-pressed to do it. So I'm not going to lay into anybody. That was not a strong performance, not something that got me more excited about football. I'll lock it in. It's happening. I'll get more excited in a couple minutes when Scott Wilson comes on, and we'll talk football. We also, I think he has a plan. We had a plan that he wanted to do on Friday that is completely unrelated to football that we didn't do on Friday because instead of him being on live on Friday, we did the recorded version of him from last Monday on Friday. So Scott was on twice last week, but he said the exact same thing both times. And I promise he'll have something fresh to say today, assuming he is available. I've not yet confirmed with him, but it should happen. All right. I'm going to take a quick timeout because I have I think it's either draft throat or throughway throat, I would call it. But when I return from Saratoga or from sometimes like a bus trip, like if we have, let's say we were to play UB at Bowling Green in early September. Let's say that happened. And I spend 4 or 4.5 hours on a bus each way in air conditioning and talking. I think talking in a very air-conditioned space leads to my throat feeling like this. And it's not like ow pain. It's just kind of nagging like, you did something weird, didn't you? So I've got that. And I think I've got a little bit of a cold coming on because my nose is I'm sniffing. I don't know if you can pick up on that, and I apologize. But certainly the plan was not turn on the microphone and talk for 41 straight minutes. That was a bad idea. So I'm going to play a couple songs. Scott's going to join me just after 11. Feel free to write in to the chat on the MixLR app. I know they pronounce it Mixler, but if I do that, then you're going to put an E in it. It's going to be a mess. Should I get rid of the E in Writer Radio? RITR Radio? Or would I have to get rid of the I, too? RTR Radio? RTRR? I don't like any of this. Jay Cutler! Exclamation point. Yeah, Jay Cutler. He's the leading quarterback in Bears history. Unless Caleb Williams has, like, 3 good seasons, and then he won't be anymore. But that's how bad it's been, and that's how hungry they are for a quarterback. Sid Luckman held all their records until Jay Cutler smashed them. And Jay Cutler wasn't even good. So there's that. All right. I've got to play a song. And it'll be a great song, although I don't know what it is. It's not going to be Up for the Downstroke because we played that before the show. It's not going to be Dr. Rock because we played that before the show. And it's not going to be Pine Tree Boogie because we played that before the show. So I'm deleting those from this little sheet here. Those are going away. That is gone. And what you're going to get now is Radiohead. This portion of Writer Radio has been deleted for the podcast version. If you want to hear everything that happens, listen live weekdays 10 to noon at writerradio.com.
Let's check in with Writer Radio's senior football correspondent, Scott Wilson.
That's a great idea. Let's do that right now. Scott, this is Brad Writer checking in. It's Writer Radio saying hello. We're checking in with our senior football correspondent because we are 10 days away from kickoff in UB football season. My fantasy draft happened. It's all happening. Preseason, we're 2 games. There's only 1 preseason game left for the Bills. It's coming. It's coming. It's real. It's happening. Here we go.
Yeah, we're in a real section now where we can actually start talking real ball.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing. That's a good part of my life. I enjoy that a great deal, and I'm excited. I did Paul lets me have a couple little segments during the game that coming back from commercials where we'll do a fun trivia question or talk about some of the history of the Bulls. So I did that this weekend to finish those up. So, it's here, and I finished it, and I started thinking, ooh, do I have ink in the printer? Because I need to print these very soon.
Yeah.
And that's such a great feeling.
That is great.
To know that we are that close to football.
What is your process? Because some of the time, like the research you do, I mean, obviously you have a computer and the internet, but like I don't know where you would find. There's not a lot of people super interested in sharing the story of the history of UB football, and you'll bust stuff out from 100 years ago that, I don't know where it comes from. Like, what do you do? Who do you know? How's it?
It's time travel.
Well, I was just gonna say, are you like, do you embed yourself in your local library and go through microfiche? Like, what is your process for getting this? Because you ask a trivia question, the answer is Naaman Roosevelt. I know how you did that, but when you ask a trivia question and it's some coach I never heard of who had scurvy, and then you've just got all this stuff. I don't know where it comes from. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had heard of some of the coaches that we were talking about last year. We had heard about those coaches before because I had done the history segment. So
yeah,
when people are throwing out names like Bemis Pierce, I'm with you. I got you.
Yeah, we know B-Dog.
I'm with you on that. So
it's extensive.
There used to be a really good resource on the university's library website.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. It's more than Wikipedia. What you're doing is not stuff that's available on Wikipedia. I'm sure some of it is, but not all of it.
And then Scott Hollander, who's by the way, if you love UB football, great follow on Twitter. He's every now and then I think he works for the library, but he tweets out, oh, this is the birthday of so and so, and here he is in a UB uniform back in '68. Or just a couple of weeks ago, he had a great tweet that pointed out that one of the umpires in the famous George Brett Pine Tar game is a UB grad.
Yes.
And played at UB and then got into umpiring and was a Major League Baseball umpire, which was cool. And so I used for a long time a lot of his resources that he had up on that library website, which was cool. It got all those links got taken down this year, so I had to do a little bit of tweaking.
Time to dig
this year, but there's still a lot of great like archive photos and stuff on there if you ever want to go back and look. If you have somebody in your family that has played for UB, there's a lot of those like old team photos and stuff like that are up there. That scene in Dead Poets Society where Robin Williams takes the class out and looks over the pictures of the old class photos.
Yes.
Of guys in the hallway, and he starts to whisper, that's the seize the day moment in the film. There's a lot of those looking pictures online, and they're awesome to see that guys were just wearing a pair of trousers and a really thick wool knitted sweater with a B on the front. And just, there's 14 guys on the team and a coach, and that's all they had, and they were playing. And there's a lot of really cool stuff like that out there. So this year I had to tweak it a little bit. Obviously anything back until like 99 when the Bulls went back to Division I, you can get information on that pretty easily. You can get a box score for just about every game that goes back to 99, if not even play-by-play of those games. So that is something that, is pretty easily. If you're going to go back before that, it gets a lot trickier. And I've been able to find some resources that had old news clippings. So where I'm not getting a direct box score, I am able to reference maybe a 4 or 5 paragraph excerpt from
written by a sports writer with a hat and a cigar. So it counts.
Right. Written by a sports writer for the Associated Press. Now, I don't want to ruin it, but there will be a history segment coming up this year where the Bulls played at CCNY.
Really?
Back in the 40s. And I was able to find an old news article that was in, I believe, Rochester, the Democrat and Chronicle, where they talked about the game. And, I was able to figure out what happened, names and everything. So being able to, I love doing it because I think it's a great opportunity to keep some of those names alive and what they did alive and keep the history of UB football alive, because there actually is, one up every year coming away with is there actually, it's not Michigan. Okay.
Right.
Like it's not Gerald Ford and Fielding Yost going out there, but there actually is a really rich, fertile tradition of football at UB that nerds have killed twice, and it has come back both times after they got rid of the program, and it's there. It just needs to kind of be told. Frank Clare was a head coach for UB who eventually went up to the CFL and ended up being like the Bill Belichick of the CFL, and he got his head coaching start at UB. I mentioned Bemis Pierce. He was brought in. He was like the first Native American head coach hired in football. UB took the chance on him because he had that great Carnegie background where he was in one of the preeminent powers playing, and they gave him a shot. And there's a lot of really good stories like that we get a chance to tell every week. And now, I mean, some of it is Hey, do you remember? Do you remember when Jarrett ran for 800 yards in a
Right,
game?
right. But
There's some of that
that
because we
stuff
need to
doesn't.
remember that.
But that stuff doesn't blow my mind. That's the stuff that I understand. I was right that there is. I was kind of joking. Do you travel to the UB library? But you kind of traveled to the UB library. Like the stuff you bring out, particularly the history stuff, the trivia stuff. You're not going to try to stump us on questions from 1894. Like name the original 14 students that formed the team in 18. You're not going to do that to us. But
Right.
you are with the history thing. You are telling stories that I don't know. And I seriously, like, I've never asked you where you find them because it sounds like you are doing real old-timey research and you're looking at black and white photos and you're reading clippings and that's so I was right. You don't actually sit at a microfiche or microfilm, I've never known the difference, machine, but you kind of do because you were digging into library archives and using the the resources available. So I want to credit you a little bit there because it's always something that just happens in passing. You just rattle off this super cool story, and then it's 3rd and 2, and we just jump right back into it. I never get to comment on the stuff. I just think it's awesome, and it's a part of what makes our UB football broadcast really good is that you're bringing that sense of, look, this isn't just about now. They've been playing football here since 1894, and I want to tell you some stuff that happened. And then it kind of gets lost, but it's a compliment and also a promotional tool to tell people when Scott and I and Paul Peck are all together on a UB football broadcast, it's pretty good radio, whether you know a lot about the program or not. And I would recommend just jump in. It's going to be a fun year. It's a likable coach. You're going to hear from him a lot between this podcast, our UB football podcast that Scott and I do, and just football, pregame shows, postgame shows, all that stuff. You're going to hear a lot from Pete Lembo. You're going to like him. And I would recommend you start trying to like this team or caring or paying attention, pay a little bit of attention right away, because when they're sitting at, 4-1 or 5-1 or something, and people are starting to take notice, it'll feel good to be a month ahead of the curve. So I'm recommending that you do that, and I'm trying to explain to you that it's a good broadcast. If you like the segments of Scott and I on the show or Paul and I on the show, you should hear the football games we do. We've been doing it for a while. We're pretty good at it, and Scott brings that element of history to it in addition to everything else that he brings. So it's just a little pumping up of what we're about to do. Are you into game prep for Minnesota yet, or has that not yet happened? Do you need, are you on a schedule where it's just the week leading up? That's when I do that.
I have done a little bit. Big Ten Network has been doing their thing where they travel to training camp one day, for each team in the league, which they've got like 34 teams in the Big Ten now. So, they only get around once. So I did watch it there for the Minnesota one. I do not watch film until the week of because I want it to be fresh. I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to forget anything, but I have been starting to track through the preseason camps here for some of our opponents that we play early on, but specifically Minnesota, just to see, who's banged up, if there's anything, tricky going on. And then on top of that, knowing, and I thought that this was the case last time, but they don't put out a 2-deep. So
Minnesota doesn't at all?
No, I think that's a PJ Fleck thing.
Cool.
I think I remember when he was back at Western Michigan, it was a lot of oars.
Yeah.
And it was just like 4 guys listed on their 2-deep for each position with oars. And it's like, all right, dude.
2-deep being a depth chart that they give out. And you can find them anywhere. You might not know to call it that, but it's a depth chart that shows, all right, here's the starter, here's the backup, here's the third string. And, everyone is prone to hiding a little bit of information in there. If this is the week that you're going to debut your freshman running back, you might not have him listed first. He might just start the game. So there's some gamesmanship that goes on. But
that's what happened with us at Penn State. Remember, we had
Barkley?
we had their play-by-play guy come into our booth before the game. Was like, hey, just to let you know, you're probably going to see a little bit of our freshman. He's number 26. Saquon Barkley. They really love him. They've given him a little bit of time, but they really love the guy. They think he's going to be big. So I think that he might get some time today. I don't know if he's on the 2-deep. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he ran for 100 yards in the second half and single-handedly beat us after we were poised for the upset.
Yeah, and that was going against Akeel Lynch as the starting running back. Who's
Yes.
that's our story going into the week is UB going against this Niagara County kid and all this stuff, and then next thing you know he's out. There's some dude wearing 26 jumping over Ryan Williamson, and the rest is history. And then 10 years later, is it that? Nah, it's not that long. Close. He's jumping over players in the NFL and winning ESPYs for it. So yeah, we got a pretty good look at that early in his career. That was nice. But yeah, there's gamesmanship, and then there's just not even putting out a list, which is pretty annoying. PJ Fleck he's good at being annoying. It's something he's got going for him, and I look forward to going into a game with a chance to beat him. We saw him in his last game at Western Michigan. That was the game day game. And then the next year we saw him in his first game at Minnesota. And it's been a while, but I still don't really enjoy his company. And I'd like to see the Bulls go in there and take that team down, go get a win against the Big Ten team. And that would set the tone. I mean, that's, again, we're back to it ain't Michigan. But if you go and beat Minnesota, that's going to be noteworthy in Western New York as people are gearing up for football and waiting for Bills-Ravens. If the first thing that happens in local football this year is UB beating a Big Ten team, people will take notice. It takes one win on the road to start the season to draw a bunch of attention. So I'm saying, if you're listening and you don't think you're into UB football, pay attention to that game. Watch that game. Listen to that game. Check out the pregame coverage that we're going to be doing on this podcast and on the UB network. And I don't know, just get in on board. It'll feel better. It'll feel better if you're in on the ground floor instead of hearing that they won against Minnesota. And I'm not saying they're going to win against Minnesota. I'm just saying it's a winnable game. There's a chance. They're planning to win for sure. So get in on it now. And then if it happens, you're like, yeah, I know. I've known forever that they were going to have a shot against Minnesota. This is going to be a good year. Pete Lembo's a good coach. You can say all the stuff. You'll feel better if you can tell people stuff about UB instead of just having to listen to and feeling like you're catching up when everybody else is. Just a little PSA. It'll help you out. You'll feel better as a football fan if you jump in early. That's my recommendation.
And I just want to throw in one thing. For anybody listening, I have to stress how many teams you and I have been around. And the guys on this team, especially the really good players on this team, are good dudes.
Yeah.
Like, you want to root for them. If I don't know if many people saw it or not, but I watched this weekend Pete Lembo's press conference at Media Day. I think it was Thursday or Friday. And he told the story. I mean, Red Murdoch is probably going to be in consideration to be an All-American if he does what he did last year, which was finish second only to his own teammate for tackles in the year.
In the country.
And he's going to have an opportunity to break Khalil Mack's all-time forced fumble mark this year. And he's one of the best players on the team. And he was talking about how Pete Lembo and the staff require each player each semester to do some community service. Get out in the community, help. It makes, the players to feel more responsible for their community and to help out, but also reaches out in the community and says, hey, we care about you. And, we hope to see you at a game. And Red in the spring did 11 community service things. Yeah. So it's like he's a guy that goes well above and beyond and has really immersed himself in Buffalo and UB. And I'm going to be very honest, had opportunities to not be on this team this year.
Of course.
And stayed because he believes in what's going on and loves it here. So that's the type of thing that you're getting. And then, we'll break it down. I don't want to go too ad nauseum, but I think it's fun that a quarterback in Roberson can come in, and he started at UConn and then got hurt. And even before that at Penn State was kind of like, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? And I think it's fun to see a guy finally get a shot to be the man.
Yep.
And to really go out there and do it and take it to the next level for everybody and get that really, like, the last this is his last shot. And that to me is fun and it's exciting because those are the types of stories that are really, really fun. That when this season gets going, to see a guy like we saw last year in CJ Agbana, that was his last shot.
Yep.
It was his last chance, and he took advantage of it and took the program way above and beyond what anybody's expectations were. And there's just a lot of those types of guys on this team.
And you sent me a link to Roberson being interviewed, and like you, it's the first time I've heard him speak, other than like in a quick soundbite. But there's some intensity there, and no knock on Agbana. I love what he was able to do. But Agbana was kind of nice guy, peaceful, manager of things, and I'm not saying he wasn't competitive or anything like that, but there's a different swagger to Roberson that I was not aware of, that I started hearing about from the scrimmage, where once things got a little heated, that cranked him up, and you got a little of that from hearing him talk into a microphone too. So a little bit of a different attitude at quarterback this year. Although we haven't seen him play in a real game yet, that's kind of what I'm anticipating now, and I'm excited about it.
You want to talk Bills? I mean,
yeah.
Do we have to?
A little.
I mean,
a little.
That was something, huh?
No, it was not. That was nothing. That was a waste of all of our time.
Yeah. In the words of Howard Simon back in the day when we were. I was at GR producing his morning show with Jeremy, and it was right in the middle of the drought. I believe his quote was, "What a waste of jet fuel."
Yes.
And that's what it felt like last night. That was a waste of 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah. Can you imagine
starters played.
You're Fox and you sign up for that? You're like, yeah, we're gonna have an NFL game on Sunday night, and it's that. Ugh.
Yeah, they chose poorly.
Yeah.
I like that McDermott was not real happy about it after the game. He didn't blow past it. He's going to let them know. But I think that there's something to, I know that, a lot of guys are playing for jobs, and I get it that there's an intensity there. But when none of the starters are playing and everyone knows that, mentally that has to do something on a subconscious level.
Well, it does it to fans. Why would it not do it to players?
Like, even they are saying, like, does this really not matter? They're not playing. They're not calling real defenses. They're not, nothing out there is really anything intricate. Everything's very basic. So I don't know. The Bills got blown out like this their first Super Bowl run in the preseason too.
All the time.
They had a game like this. So I'm not reading too much into it, except for probably not a great game for Andreessen.
Yeah.
It was okay, but not, especially that first drive. There were a couple of times where he got thrown, Caleb Williams looked like the Heisman Trophy winner, whizzing a ball past Buffalo Joe's ear into the slot.
As Cole Bishop takes a bad angle to make the play.
Yeah, and that was my other thought was maybe the safeties are a bit more of a problem than we thought. Wasn't great. Again, not going to read too much into it, not going to buy too much into it, but it did bring me back to the thought of, I was hearing the game yesterday, and Olsen and Davis were calling the game for Fox, kept making reference to, they gave up so many yards in the air last year, and they really wanted to work on their pass coverage and get better. And I just remember thinking, if you watch the team last year, they gave up a lot on the ground too.
Yeah.
That wasn't great either. Last year's season is drastically different if they don't have a historic performance of creating turnovers in the red zone. Nobody in the league, I believe, gave up more trips to the red zone to other teams' offenses than the Bills did. But they also had far and away the most turnovers caused in their own red zone. They were bailed out a lot once they got inside the 20 by their defense making the play and the other team making the mistake. And all the turnovers last year, it's something that I am familiar with just in dealing with college football, and Phil Steele talks about it, which is turnover luck.
Yep.
When you see these teams that have a turnover luck in college football where they end a season at like plus 18, if you look historically, there is a massive return to the mean the following season. And that can affect projections for how teams play and what their records are going to look like. Last night's performance made me think of that. Like, ooh, if there is a massive return to the mean of turnovers for this defense, Josh is going to have to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
And even when he did last year, like that Rams game, the Lions game that they won,
Yeah.
he had to score all those points. It's not like like they were just doing it for fun.
Right.
In garbage time, he had to score.
Necessary.
So if some of these rookies don't show up and make an impact, I'm wondering what has really changed, because the defense hasn't changed. There's not a new defensive coordinator. You know, the new corner that you brought in the draft in the first round is injured. So he's still kind of on training wheels and having to come up. There's a lot on that defensive side of the ball that still has to be sorted out. That last night doesn't matter, but still at least made me wonder.
Sure. Yeah, and to go back to the first thing you said, like not a great night for Andreessen, and you were talking about, this is, I'm going to tie it back to the quarterback thing for UB. It's like, this is my shot. Here's my shot. Well, if my shot at being a star for the Bills is going out there playing with 10 guys who aren't going to be on the Bills, is that really my shot? Like, can I really assess Andreessen's performance if the guys who are next to him aren't the guys who would be next to him? And they're all in that boat, but that's just what makes it weird. And going against a team that clearly has a different agenda than your team has. The Bills' agenda right now is, I want to be as healthy as possible on September 7th when we host the Ravens. The Bears' agenda right now is, let's get people excited about this. Let's get people believing in the quarterback and the new head coach and the offense that at this time last year was pretty heavily hyped. And they did some good things. Caleb Williams threw for 3,500 yards or whatever last year. But it's not yet established, and part of this is that Jaden Daniels was so good last year, but it's not yet established that they did the right thing in picking this guy first overall and turning over the franchise to him. So goal number one for that team is, let's make people believe. So they get a chance to make people believe against a squad of 11 people led by Joe Andreessen instead of a squad of 10 people pulling Joe Andreessen along and bringing him into the NFL. So I don't want to lay it on him, but it's just the dynamic is just, it's so weird to assess what I look like on the Bills when I'm playing with the guys who aren't going to be the Bills. And that goes for everybody else who is out there too. So, we all know it's a grain of salt. Right. Yes.
Like Mike White with the second offensive line. Like, I'd like to see what Mike White or
Trubisky,
any of the other quarterback, Trubisky, does with blockers.
Right. Yeah, that'd
Instead
help.
of, some of these guys, are, if they're going to make the team, hopefully the idea is they've got to pull you through maybe one or two games where you can survive it, not just be the guy. And certainly, Vandermark in a preseason game jumping off sides repeatedly did not help his
twice
case.
On two plays.
Yeah, I mean that was a rough look.
Although,
but,
I will say
it's tough to get a read on some of those guys.
On the Bears' first touchdown, their left tackle was a half second before he pulled out away from the line a half second before everybody else, and then got off a good block and kept him clean. And then he hit the touchdown pass, and that was annoying because then Vandermark did it on the next play, and it got called on him, and then he did it again on the next play, and it got called again. But I thought there should have been a penalty on that first touchdown, and it's a problem not in the preseason game. Who really cares? But the Chiefs do it all the time too. Their left tackle moves early constantly, and it's a problem. Why are we letting that go? Have you noticed that as a problem in the NFL and with the Chiefs in particular?
Yeah. A big problem. I do like that they are starting to, again, reinforce that, hey, your outside tackles got to have their head even with the hips of at least of the center.
Somewhere near the line.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting a little ridiculous back here. I do like that they're continuing to clamp down on that. But, yeah, I mean, you see it a lot, especially from the Chiefs, that that left tackle is taking that half step. Seems like before the ball gets snapped.
It's a
So
massive advantage.
yeah, it's a huge advantage.
I hate it. All right. What else are we doing here? It's Writer Radio. It's episode 146. Scott Wilson is with me. Anything else on the Bills? I don't think I have anything else on the Bills. Cook is in. We haven't talked since they locked up James Cook.
But
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's a good deal. All things considered, it's what, $10-11 million a year.
Yeah,
on the average. And
they're in no position to start looking for a different running back or asking Ray Davis to be James Cook. Like they're good at that position if he's here, and the plan is to win. They signed him to a 4-year extension. The plan is to win those 4 Super Bowls. So I don't really care what they're paying the guy if they can be the best team they can while Josh is in his prime.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that it's, we were right. He's sitting out because they're hammering out details.
And let's not get hurt during that.
Right, and let's not get hurt while we're at the finish line of this deal. And they finished it up there within a week, and I agree. The fact that they didn't have to like reset the market for him. That's, I think, what everybody was talking about when it's like, are you going to pay the running back? Like, yeah, I'll pay him $10-11 million a year. That's fine. You can deal with that, especially when the cap goes up $20 million every year. But if we're going to have to go out there and pay him Saquon money where he's going to making, 15, 16, $17 million a year, then no, that can't happen.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable price, and I've got, no problem with that.
Yeah, going rate works. All right. You are well, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say we didn't get a chance to talk about Hard Knocks either.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to say quick shout out to the woman in the bar who mentioned that her husband drank breast milk from her friend.
Yes. She took it very well.
Yeah, I don't think my wife would be as understanding.
Well, it depends if you've got it bottled or on draft. I think would be a big part of it.
Right. If you're going to do it, you might as well make it on draft.
Right. Straight from the tap.
If we're doing anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Well, I'm under the impression that it wasn't that sort of situation because she seemed happy about it. I don't know anyone who would be okay with it. Well, maybe. I don't know. If it's a big game, I guess. I thought the second episode of Hard Knocks was not nearly as thrilling as the first one. It was kind of a slow, dull version. I still love it. I still can't wait for tomorrow's episode. My son Nate is really into it and was super excited last night when he thought it was coming out today because we're sitting there watching the Bills, get pounded by the Bears. And by all accounts, when we get to see footage from the practice sessions done by NFL Films, I think we're going to feel better about the weekend that the Bills had. It seemed like the Bills were trying to win on Friday while the Bears were trying to win on Sunday, and then both did. But once we get the NFL Films crew in there and we can see some of that Friday stuff where the D-line was apparently annihilating the first unit offensive line for the Bears, I'd like to see some of that footage. So maybe we'll get that tomorrow and feel better about what the Bills did over the weekend.
Yeah, you can always see stuff like that. And it's cool. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what the sideline is like in that game, just to kind of see what the reaction is of some of the players that are not only in the game but not in the game, to say like, hey, what are we doing? What are we doing out here? Let's get it together.
Did I? So I'm trying to think if I ever made you. If I ask you to name something that I made you listen to, like under duress, where I'm just like, no, you have to hear this. Is there anything that comes to mind? I know you're going to say something about Queensryche here. It's not what I mean. Just in general. All right, here. Let me just tell the story. You don't have to answer the question. That was my really awkward way of getting into this thing. So we're at our draft, and it's a full weekend of activity in Saratoga this past weekend. And at some point, we were talking about podcasts, and I asked if anybody had heard the podcast called Wind of Change. Have I ever discussed the podcast Wind of Change with you?
No. Is this about wind chimes?
No. This is about the song Wind of Change by the German band Scorpions. And I have a summary of it here. Here we go. Wind of Change podcast. It says, Let's see. Dive deeper. All right. Wind of Change podcast, hosted by New York journalist Patrick Radden Keefe, explores a decades-old rumor that Scorpions' hit song Wind of Change wasn't actually written by the band, but rather was written by the CIA. The podcast investigates this theory and in the process delves into the history of Cold War espionage, specifically the CIA's covert efforts to use cultural products like music as a form of influence and propaganda during the Cold War. It's an 8-part series that takes listeners on a journey around the world, interviewing former spies, musicians, and historians, all while trying to unravel the truth behind the captivating rumor. It examines the geopolitical landscape of 1990 when the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union was on the brink of collapse, making the Scorpion song a powerful anthem for change. It explores similar instances of the CIA using art and culture for influence, referencing figures like Louis Armstrong and the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Keefe also delves into the complex history of the Moscow Music Peace Festival, questioning whether the circumstances that inspired the song were entirely organic. The podcast culminates in an interview with Klaus Meine, the Scorpions frontman, where Keefe confronts him about the song's origin. So it's a podcast about whether or not their hit song was not written by them, but rather was written by the CIA in an attempt to bring down the Soviet Union.
Wow.
Okay.
That's something.
All right. So I explained that to some people.
So that's not a weekly. That's like a.
It's over. There were 8 episodes.
A couple of. Okay, yeah.
There were 8 episodes,
it's a limited run series. Because when you started this, I'm thinking, man, somebody must really like that song.
Right. No, it's not.
They've got a weekly podcast on one song by one band.
They just keep doing it. No, it's 8 episodes, and it happened in 2020 when there was time to. I'm sitting around. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do 8 quick episodes on the song "Wind of Change" by Scorpions. So I explained this to my friends who are. I thought about it. I think I'm the youngest one there. So I'm 50. Everybody else, the oldest is probably like 54. But it's just a bunch of old white guys hanging out in a basement, drafting football teams, drinking mojitos and beers and things, and then talking about, making jokes about the past. Anyway, what ends up happening is I tell that story. I didn't have the full description of it. I just said, yeah, it's about the song by the Scorpions, but they think the CIA wrote it to help bring down, and people are just looking at me like, I'm in. Like, where do I sign up for this? It's no problem. So we drove home from Saratoga yesterday, me and 2 other 50-plus-year-old white guys, and got in the car and put on this Wind of Change podcast and listened all the way through, all the way on the ride across the thruway. So what you would have seen if you had a camera is just 3 old white guys riding in a car listening to other pretty old white guys talking about what some other old white guys did 35 years ago. And when we got home, just before I got out of the car, I said, to be clear, is that the oldest, whitest thing that any of us has ever done? Because we didn't really even talk on the ride home. We all just listened to this dude speculating about a Scorpion song being written by the CIA. And that was it. That was our trip from Saratoga back to Buffalo. That's all we did. And I think it's the oldest, whitest thing I've ever done is listen to a podcast about the fall of Russia and its connection to Scorpions with my friends.
Yeah, no, that's
old.
Oof.
That's old guy stuff right there.
That sounds like fun. Nothing like a good Sunday. But I'm glad that you brought this up because I also came across a podcast.
All right.
And I don't know the podcast name. I have to find it, but I forgot about it, and I'm so glad that you brought this up. I saw a 10-minute clip of somebody talking about it. That I think that they're doing the podcast, where, and this is going to sound crazy, their theory is that Garth Brooks is a serial killer.
I'm in.
And I started watching it because it's hilarious. The thought of, I got friends in low places and they cut somebody's head off or something, but they actually go into it where this guy was listening to another show where somebody threw out there, like, if you look at Garth Brooks and you look at his touring record, everywhere he goes, there's always a murder or a missing persons report. And it was kind of treated like a joke. And then he's like, was interested, and he went and looked online, and there wasn't actually any real research on it done. But he said that would be interesting if that's true. So he starts to look into it and starts to actually find that through, just a rough outline of looking at it, it actually is kind of true. And I guess he's like, I thought, I got a friend that's autistic that will absolutely be able to do this for me. So he called the original person that talked about it on the podcast, was like, if you have anything, send it to me and I will send it to my friend. We're actually going to try and do this. I'm like, all right, because this original person said, I don't really have the time to do this. And the guy's like, I got friends who have time, and they love doing this. And he's like, the long and short of it is, the guy's a psychopath and he's absolutely a serial killer.
The Chris Gaines thing was weird.
Yeah, but I guess like they rough outline on the small 10-minute clip that I saw, but it was like there's thousands of tour dates, and almost every single one of them coincide within like 2.5 miles of the stadium there being a missing person or an unsolved murder within a day and a half of the actual concert taking place. And it's like, he got signed by a record company. He was living in a small place, barely making ends meet in Nashville. And the first thing that he does is not buy a new condo or move to a new house or buy a sports car or anything else. The first thing he does is buy 1,000 acres of untouched
cemetery
land out in the middle of nowhere outside of Nashville and Tennessee.
A mass grave. He buys a mass grave.
Guess where the area where all of a sudden there's a huge spike in missing persons.
Yeah, see?
Right around the area. And, like I said, it was only 10 minutes, but it seemed very interesting that somebody has spent the time to try and go back and cross-reference.
I like it.
Thousands of tour dates of like, oh, he was on the State Fair tour when he was just getting started. He's like, go back and look within 2 miles of where they would park the tour bus at these places.
Look it
Someone's
up.
Murdered.
Look it up.
Yeah, right. And it's equal parts fascinating and also ridiculous.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I was looking for.
So apparently this started as
I don't know the name of it, but I have to find out the specifics. But
well, I've found some stuff. I found, is Garth Brooks a serial killer? That might be the one we're looking for. I don't know that it is. Here's the deal. This joke started with a Tom Segura joke in 2018. He reportedly described Brooks' smile at a 2018 concert announcement video. In a 2018 concert announcement video as that of a serial killer. The observation led to Segura jokingly suggesting Brooks might be linked to unexplained disappearances or murders in locations where he performs.
Right.
The joke gained significant traction among Segura's fans, who began flooding Brooks' social media with questions like, "Where are the bodies, Garth?" It then goes on to say, while it's not a serious accusation, while some online users appear to take the theory seriously, the origins lie in a comedian's joke. It's largely recognized as such by most. Rational fans and observers acknowledge that Garth Brooks is a country music star and not a serial killer. The serial killer image is further fueled by the existence of Brooks' alter ego, Chris Gaines, which some find unusual or perplexing. Yes, that part was very weird. But yeah, this is a thing. This is a thing that's been going on for 7 years. And there's an IMDb thing called "Is Garth Brooks a serial killer?" I found an episode of a podcast called, where is it? Dark Hearts with Stacey Lee, where that episode is called "Is Garth a Serial Killer?" And then I also see a thing that says, from 10 months ago, notorious serial killer Garth Brooks finally had enough, and he has blocked Tom Segura on Instagram. So this is a Tom Segura product, and fans have just run with it. But I'm in. I'll check that out. I'll listen.
Yeah. So I didn't know who the person was, but the guy that I saw in this clip took it seriously and like got his nerd friends.
Yeah.
To start tracking it down, and he's like, there is actual validity to this joke. So
That's pretty awesome.
I'll try and find it and send it to you.
All right.
It's funny.
Sounds good. All right. You are a dual threat, Scott. You're a dual threat. We don't talk enough about it, but here's a reminder. Oh, it didn't play. Hold on.
Let's check in with Writer Radio's senior Hallmark correspondent, Scott Wilson.
Your football and your Hallmark, and you have a Hallmark plan.
I do. I came across some Hallmark movies last week.
It's Hallmark season.
Texting you.
It's Hallmark season. For those who don't know, our television of choice, our television show of choice in hotel rooms, especially like this trip. This is one of those ones where we're there for a while, because I'm sure we'll leave at 11 o'clock or noon or something on Wednesday, and then the game's not played until 8 o'clock at night on Thursday. Although I haven't done the calculation. That's 8 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock Central Time. But we've got a day and a half of sitting around. And when we're sitting around, we tend to put on TV that entertains us, and the thing that entertains us the most, if there's not like live sports, ends up being the Hallmark Channel. So we're into the Hallmark Channel, and Hallmark season begins a week from Wednesday.
Right. So I texted you last week, and I said, hey, if I was putting together a Hallmark game, would you like to pick the one that's fake from a list, or would you rather pick a bunch that are fake and pick the real one? And you have chosen to pick the fake one.
The old two truths and a lie situation.
Two truths and a lie, basically, in the Hallmark game. So I'm going to give you the title, and you know how on your TV, how you would press info?
Yes.
The brief description that would come up on the screen there. Well, what is it? 3-4 sentences that gives you the quick breakdown of the movie.
All right.
I'm going to give you three.
On the fly, I want to tweak this. I would like to turn that info thing into sort of a Mad Lib situation where you read some of it and then leave a word blank, and I will try to guess the word.
Now, see, that's next time.
Oh, you're not ready for that? Okay, that's fine.
I'm not ready.
That's fine.
I will try and structure that.
Okay. See, I thought
I might be able to.
I thought you were going to have me guess, like just based on the title, what the plot was. But I think the better version would be you give me some of it, but like leave a word out, and I'll try to figure out if it's farmhouse or church or recreation center or bingo hall or library or Christmas tree farm or what. Like I will see if we can do it
next time. We could tweak that.
You do your thing.
We can continue to expand the Hallmark game horizons.
All right. Sounds
it's really infinite.
I know.
The Hallmark game situation.
All right. Let's do it. Mark it up.
All right. So I'm going to give you 3. You have to pick the fake movie.
All right. 3 movies. Yes.
All right. Movie number 1. Not in the cards.
Not in the cards. Okay.
Stacy returns home from her big job in Las Vegas to help her parents in Vermont, and a wild night out with old high school friends, plus a run-in with an ex, Brian, makes her question her fast-paced big city life.
All right. These are all going to sound very true. I know they are, because that's what all the movies are. They're all the same movie.
Okay.
All right. Not in the cards. Not in the cards. Okay.
Not in the cards.
All right. That's one.
Movie number 2, Frozen in Love. When struggling bookstore owner Mary and the bad boy of pro hockey Adam are teamed together to help facilitate an image makeover for the other, they soon realize that opposites attract, and they find themselves unexpectedly frozen in love.
I hope that one's real. I want to watch that one. Okay, so it's not in the cards, Frozen in Love. And what's number 3?
And movie number 3, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost.
Okay.
The house that Anna, a new real estate agent, has listed has a spirit from the 1920s that just won't leave. Even worse, the ghost is afraid she won't be able to pass over to the other side unless she reconciles Anna with her ex.
All right, so 2 of those are
3
real.
Bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost.
3 bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost that's pretty. How did the description start again?
The house that Anna, a new real estate agent, has listed has a spirit from the 1920s that just won't go.
All right, I was just making sure that real estate was involved, because of course it is. All right.
So not in the cards.
Yep.
Frozen in Love.
Yep.
3 bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost.
Oh, that sounds great. All right. I think based on movie, just the title of the film, I think the fake one is the first one. I think Not in the Cards sounds most like something that would get shot down at a board meeting because it's too negative for a Hallmark movie title, and therefore that is my selection for that being the fake one.
Well, okay. So you're picking the movie one.
I'm
Not
saying
the
movie
Cards.
one is fake. I'm saying the other two are real. If you fooled me, great job. But my breakdown of it is that the song title sounds the film title sounds too negative to be listed with the rest of them. I just see Not in the Cards. That doesn't sound, and I get like the Christmas card joke, but I think that's a joke that you made. How did I do?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you which one. I'm going to give you one that's real first.
Okay.
Frozen in Love is a real
Okay.
Hallmark movie.
Okay. Frozen in Love is real. So now we're doing, this is like Let's Make a Deal where I have the chance to change my answer.
Yes, so now we're down to Not in the Cards, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost.
All right. Having read a bunch of books about logic, the Monty Hall problem is what we're describing here. For anybody unfamiliar, I'm not going to try to describe it, but it is the proper strategy in the game. If you pick one of 3 and then the host takes one of them away, your choice is to stick with what you already said or switch, and mathematically you are always better to switch. I'm now switching my answer based off of the Monty Hall problem and probability books that I've read to 3 bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost, or 2 bed, whatever it was. The one with I'm going to say that's the fake one. That was a really good title. Loved it. But I'm going to say now that that's the fake one based on probability.
Okay, the fake movie is Not in the Cards.
Damn it, I was right the whole time.
You were right. Monty Hall tricked you. 3 bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost is a real
That's fantastic.
Hallmark movie that was produced, made, filmed, acted in, and then distributed to the world.
Is it a hockey player and a bookstore owner in the one?
Frozen in Love
Frozen in Love.
Yeah, there's a bookstore owner and the bad boy of pro hockey, Adam.
Oh, that's so good. So it's Ty Domi and Kate Winslet or something. It's not going to be Kate Winslet.
Right.
But it could
Only
be
it's Meredith Baxter Birney.
Or Lacey Chabert or anyone. Okay, I love it. All right. Well, I'm proud of myself. I still did the right thing. You have to make the switch. Mathematically, you have to make the switch.
Yes.
So I did. But my instincts were correct. I guess the difference here is that when you're just guessing 1, 2, or 3, there's like no reason you chose 1, 2, or 3. I had a reason that I chose 1. So maybe the Monty Hall problem does not apply probability-wise. But whatever. We're all learning things. We're learning together.
Right. All right. Here we go.
We're doing it again?
Yeah.
All right. We got 2. All right. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Movie number 1, A Whitewater Romance. Maya attends an exclusive business retreat in the Rocky Mountains where she meets Matt, who also happens to be a competitor. As they're forced to pair up during the retreat, an unlikely connection begins to evolve, and maybe some love can be found on the rapids.
Okay. What does she do for a living? Does it say what they do for a living? That they're competitive in business?
No, it's just a business retreat.
Okay, got it.
Movie number 2, Cherry on Top. Struggling artist Daryl is hired by Molly's grandfather to paint a mural in the local ice cream parlor, and in the process tries to catch the eye of shop owner Molly, whose bad luck in love has made her heart colder than the milkshakes she serves.
So she works in an ice cream shop. Okay, all right. Cherry on top.
Artist and an ice cream shop owner.
Yep, got it.
All right, movie number 3, Eat, Play, Love. Veterinarian Carly returns to Minnesota to take over her grandfather's vet business and develops a secret love for Dan, the owner of a dog shelter. Unfortunately, Dan is about to marry his glamorous TV personality girlfriend and move to the Big Apple.
What's that one called? Eat, Play,
Love.
All right. Might there be a problem with taking Eat, Pray, Love and just changing one letter and then making a whole different movie? Could be an issue. Hallmark knows what it's doing. I'll allow that one. Give me the titles again. I've got the plots. Give me the titles.
Okay, A Whitewater Romance.
Yep.
Cherry on Top. Eat, Play, Love.
You made up Cherry on Top is my guess.
All right, I'm going to get rid of one.
Okay.
Eat, Play, Love is a real movie.
Eat, Play, Love is real.
You're right. And I like the reasoning that, Hallmark knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They cleared it.
But that's got all the classics in there. Vets, dogs.
Oh, it's the best.
Moving Home.
Yeah, all of it. Minnesota. See, that could have been a twist. Like, you've got Minnesota on your mind because we're going to Minnesota, so you added in Minnesota, but I let that go and decided that was a red herring. That was a fake news, fake clue.
Okay, so are you switching? Monty Hall?
I don't think that you would write. I think a whitewater romance. a whitewater romance is too bland of a title for you to have written it. You wouldn't have written something that dull. I find that one dull. It doesn't sound exciting to me, and I don't think that you would, even in writing a fake movie, come up with something that dull. So I'm not going to switch. I'm going to stick with my original selection.
Okay, you are correct.
Yeah, so I went 2 for 2 real.
Cherry on Top.
Yeah, Cherry on Top sounded like a Scott Wilson production. Give me that plot again. That was a good plot. What was the plot of Cherry on Top? Ice cream parlor.
Cherry on Top is where struggling artist Daryl is hired by Molly's grandfather to paint a mural in the local ice cream parlor. And then tries to catch the eye of the shop owner, Molly,
Yeah.
whose bad luck in love has made her heart colder than the milkshakes.
That's very good. That was very good. It was very you. But I don't want you to become self-aware and start writing so that it doesn't sound like you. Oh, he went away. The phone. It's all right. That's okay. The show's just about over. Thanks, Scott. I'm not going to call him back. The phone just cut out, but it's about the right time for the phone to cut out because it's 11:57 and the show's just about over. Thank you to Scott Wilson. He's our senior football correspondent. Football season's coming. He's our senior Hallmark correspondent. Hallmark season, as you know, comes along with our trips for UB football. So that was a hell of a game. Oh, he's calling back? All right, well, I'll bring him back. It hung up right as you were done, so I was just going to let you go, but you called back, so that's fine.
Well, you were praising me for Cherry on Top.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
You just went away? You got excited and your face hit a button?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
fair enough. No, Cherry on Top was very, very well done, very well written, and but ultimately sounded more like you, because I'm right. You would never name it a whitewater romance. That's just boring.
Yes, that's right.
So that had to be real. And then I was a little concerned about the copyright situation with Eat, Play, Love, but that sounded pretty real. A mural in an ice cream shop. Commissioning some artist to paint a mural at an ice cream shop is such a good it's such a good premise. Oh, my God, this is good. You guys.
See, now what we have to do is really we have to start developing these films.
We absolutely could.
Because now the idea is already done. The hard part is done. Right?
Well,
the idea, the genesis of the movies, like, all right, it's Daryl and Molly. Someone call up Corbin Burnson and let's get on it.
I have an idea. I don't use a lot of ChatGPT. We did it a lot for the draft. Oh, my God. Coming up with football logos based on idiotic premises of all my friends and then plugged into ChatGPT is absolutely a phenomenal way to spend a weekend, just having these things revealed to you. I didn't even talk about the draft weekend, and it's already 11:59. So oldest thing we did was drive all the way across New York State listening to a podcast about whether it was Klaus Meine of Scorpions or the CIA that wrote Wind of Change by Scorpions. That's the oldest thing. The youngest, freshest thing we did was we had 12 guys there. We were missing a couple, but we had 12. We had to draw names out of a hat to get a partner and then compete in an Olympic-style event all day leading into our draft. So there was my buddy just got a new house, and it's got all the cool toys. So you had to play a game of pool. You had to play a game of darts, cricket. You had to play a game of shuffleboard, like hand shuffleboard. You had to play a game of this thing called threes with giant wooden dice. You had to play a game of Pac-Man. You had to go kayaking, and then you had to. There's one other one that I'm forgetting, but it was a two-man team event type of situation. It was a great, super fun, super cool weekend. Not something we could pull off on a UB trip. We just don't have enough people ready to participate or the facilities to do it. But it was awesome to have all those games and things available to us. But the other thing that happened was ChatGPT really helped form everything. I'm going to, just real quick, bear with me. Let's see. Make up 10 Hallmark movies with titles Christmas theme. Movies title Hallmark with titles and summaries. I just want to see what happens here. All right, absolutely. Here are 10 made-up Hallmark Christmas movies, complete with cozy titles and festive summaries. All right, here is what AI just did in 1 second. Are you ready? Wait, is he gone again? What's going on with your phone, Scott? Yeah, Scott's gone again. That's okay. All right. This is what... So Scott did a great job there. But let's see what AI did. 1, mistletoe and matchmakers. Big city matchmaker Chloe returns to her snowy hometown for Christmas and discovers her high school rival Jake is now running a holiday dating service. When they're forced to collaborate on a Christmas Eve singles event, sparks fly, and not just from the fireplace. That's pretty good. Number 2, a gingerbread promise. Baker Lily inherits her grandmother's old-fashioned bakery in a quaint mountain town. With the annual gingerbread contest approaching, she teams up with a charming architect to restore the crumbling storefront and maybe build a little love on the side. By the way, each of these ends with, it's like, here's the description, and then there's a dash. It's like, and here's a fun little joke we're going to put in here. All right, so that's 2. Number 3, the 12 dates of Christmas. To fulfill a dare, commitment-phobic writer Ellie agrees to go on 12 blind dates before Christmas. As she checks off each one, she unexpectedly finds herself falling for the guy organizing them, her childhood best friend. Number 4, Christmas lights and second chances. When recently divorced TV producer Amanda returns to her hometown to film a Christmas special, she's surprised to find her ex-husband as the town's mayor. Hold on. She booked the entire trip. I know I'm arguing with an AI premise here. But she booked the whole trip, set up a whole production in the town, got back, and then found out that her ex-husband is the mayor. No one has mentioned to her that her ex has become the mayor until she gets there, even through the process of getting ready to do the movie. So she's surprised to find her ex-husband as the town's mayor, and even more surprised when old feelings resurface under the glow of holiday lights. All right, number 5, snowed in at Holly Hill Inn. Travel blogger Mia gets snowed in at a remote Vermont inn run by a handsome and quiet widower. As the snow piles up, so do the holiday memories, and Mia begins to wonder if her next destination might be home. Number 6, reindeer games. Obviously, there was a movie called Reindeer Games starring Ben Affleck, but that's not the point. Hallmark has its own lane entirely. When big city exec Olivia is sent to oversee a Christmas-themed amusement park in a small town, she butts heads with its quirky manager, Dean. But as the park's reindeer games bring them closer, Olivia finds the holiday spirit and maybe her heart rekindled. 7, Christmas under the Northern Lights. Nature photographer Emma heads to Alaska to capture the Northern Lights for a magazine. She ends up stranded in a charming village where a local reindeer farmer helps her rediscover the magic of the season and something even more beautiful than the lights. Number 8, Holly Jolly Honeymoon. When a bride is left at the altar days before Christmas, she decides to go on her honeymoon to a snowy mountain lodge alone. But when the lodge accidentally double books her with a heartbroken groom, the two strangers might just find joy where they least expect it. I think that would be where you would most expect it. Like, I'm out of here. Then you find out that, they find joy right away. Are you kidding? I think we're meant to be together. That's an easy one. This is a clunky title for number 9, The Christmas Tree Farm Inheritance. Corporate lawyer Rachel inherits her uncle's Christmas tree farm, and to keep it, she must run it with the farm's longtime manager, a rugged outdoorsman with a love for tradition. As the trees sell and snow falls, she must decide between big city dreams and small town love. And number 10, A Very Vintage Christmas. Antique store owner Grace finds a mysterious box of old Christmas letters in a donation bin. Teaming up with a local historian, she embarks on a festive scavenger hunt to return them to the rightful owners and uncovers a century-old holiday romance along the way. All right, I would say that was great. 10 was too many, and you can just tweak the prompt, so I'm going to try something else. All right. Same thing, but only 5 movies, all of which star college football college football play-by-play man Paul Peck. All right, same thing, but only 5 movies, all of which feature, because I don't want Paul to be the star of the movie. I want it to be about a character named Paul Peck, who's a college football play-by-play man. All right, same thing, but only 5 movies, all of which feature college football play-by-play man Paul Peck in the lead male romantic role. Make one of his partners also a man. Okay. Absolutely. Here are 5 festive Hallmark-style Christmas movies where Paul Peck, a real-life college football play-by-play announcer, takes on the lead romantic role in each film. One of the stories features the same-sex romance as requested. Perfect. All right, so we got 5 more here. It's 12:07, but I'm not stopping this. I'm not going to stop doing this. All right. So again, 5 Hallmark-style movies where Paul Peck, a real-life college football play-by-play announcer, takes on the lead romantic role in each film. One of the stories features the same-sex romance as requested. Let's see if we can figure out which one is Paul with a dude just from the titles. The titles of the 5 movies that AI just generated are Silent Nights and Stadium Lights. Good. Christmas Playbook. Not bad. Deck the Halls with Game Calls. The Mistletoe Mike. And Home Team for the Holidays. Oh, they list the love interests. All right, which one of those sounded like Paul with a guy? If you said the Mistletoe Mike, you're correct. Because the love interests are listed in Silent Nights and Stadium Lights. Burned out after a long football season, play-by-play announcer Paul Peck returns to his small hometown of Elmsboro for a quiet Christmas. When he agrees to help a local teacher put on a holiday fundraiser game for the town's youth center, he finds himself drawn to her passion and maybe to her heart. The love interest is Grace Reynolds, dedicated teacher and former college athlete. Perfect. I would watch that movie. All right, number 2, Christmas movie about Paul Peck. Paul Peck is preparing for his final bowl game broadcast of the year when he's forced to co-host a surprise Christmas morning sports segment with no-nonsense producer Hannah Wells. Trapped in the studio by a snowstorm, they discover a shared love of holiday traditions and that the best plays can't always be scripted. The love interest is Hannah Wells, sports producer with a festive side hidden beneath her headset. All right, number 3, Deck the Halls with Game Calls. While covering a Division III holiday football classic in a tiny New England town, Paul gets roped into emceeing the annual Christmas parade. When he partners with the town's bubbly event planner, they must find a way to keep the festivities afloat and discover that love, like football, is all about the right timing. His love interest in this one is Bella Cartwright, small-town event planner and holiday enthusiast. I'm going to save the Mistletoe Mike for last because that's the one with the dude. Number 5, Home Team for the Holidays. Paul Peck returns to his alma mater to call their Christmas Eve rivalry game and reconnects with his college crush, now the dean of students. With campus snow-covered and memories flying, Paul begins to wonder if the best calls of his life aren't the ones made in the booth, but in the heart. His love interest in that one is Dr. Lauren Chambers, sharp-witted dean, and Paul's former study buddy. Number 4, the Mistletoe Mike. Paul Peck is enjoying a rare holiday off the air when he's invited to be the guest speaker at a Christmas gala for a college sports broadcasting program. There he meets Alex Rivera, a witty, up-and-coming broadcaster with big dreams and a love for classic holiday movies. As they share stories, cocoa, and a few mistletoe moments, a new holiday tradition may be born. Love interest, Alex Rivera, charming, charismatic, aspiring broadcast. Note, this is the same-sex romance entry. Yeah, it is. Now it's asking me if I would like to turn any of these into full scripts, trailers, or promotional taglines. All right, let's get taglines for all. Taglines for all 5. Of course, here are the taglines. The tagline for Silent Nights and Stadium Lights. He called the plays all season long. Now it's time to follow his heart. Tagline for Christmas Playbook. Oh, this is awesome. When the storm hits, the best holiday game plan is love. For number 3, Deck the Halls with Game Calls, here's the tagline: she runs the town's Christmas. He runs the commentary. Together, they're about to make magic. Home team for the holidays. This Christmas, he's back on campus, and love might just be the winning score. That one's terrible. And for Mistletoe Mike, it's almost like Magic Mike, but it's Mike like microphone. There's a mistletoe above Paul and this guy, Alex. 2 voices, 1 mic. A broadcast neither of them saw coming. 2 voices, 1 mic, a broadcast neither of them saw coming. Do I want movie posters, casting ideas, or a fake Hallmark promo spot? I want the intro scene where Paul, right? The scene where Paul first meets Alex in Mistletoe Mike. Bear with me. The show could just be over. You could turn it off, or you could listen to what's going on here. Here's the first scene between Paul Pack and Alex Rivera in the Mistletoe Mike, a heartfelt Hallmark-style Christmas romance featuring a same-sex love story centered around their shared passion for sports broadcasting and holiday magic. All right, here's the scene. I wish I had 2 people. All right. The setting is a warmly lit college auditorium adorned with twinkle lights, banners reading annual holiday broadcast gala celebrating the voices behind the game. Snow drifts lazily outside tall windows. People mingle with cocoa and small plates. Paul Peck, freshly retired from another long college football season, enters through side door, casual in a sport coat, scanning the crowd. Paul murmuring to himself, right, keynote speech, Q&A, then maybe I can sneak out with some peppermint bark. He grabs a hot chocolate from the bar. As he turns, he bumps into someone, nearly spilling it. Paul, whoa, sorry about that. Alex, grinning and steadying both their cups. It's okay. If I'm going to get burned by hot cocoa, at least it's from a legend. Paul chuckles. Legend? That's generous. Have we met? Alex says, not officially. Alex Rivera. I'm one of the alumni from the program here. I helped organize tonight's panel. I used to study your play-by-play like it was Shakespeare. This is the best thing that I've ever done. I didn't do it. Great idea. Paul raising an eyebrow. Shakespeare, huh? Hope I wasn't that dramatic. I could see Paul saying exactly that. Seriously, if he ran into some young broadcast dude who was kind of hitting on him, I think that's how he would respond. Shakespeare, huh? Hope I wasn't that dramatic. Alex smirking. You once described a fourth quarter interception as a tragedy in 4 downs. So a little dramatic. They laugh. There's an easy rapport. They're falling in love. Paul and Alex are falling in love. Paul says, fair. Well, it's nice to meet you, Alex. Glad to see young voices keeping the craft alive. Alex is mock insulted. Did you just call me young and dramatic? But he would have said it in like a swishier way. Did you just call me young and dramatic? Paul says, only one of those was an insult. They share a smile. A moment lingers. Alex, they said you're doing the opening toast tonight. Nervous? I'm sorry. That was... I made that sound like it was Paul talking to Alex. That was a line from Alex. It should be easier if there were 2 of us here, we could just split the script. Maybe next time. We have to start doing fake movies with Paul in them. This thing will make a trailer for me, I think. Hold on. Let me see if it'll... same script, but audio version. Can I hit play? It's writing it. I don't pay for ChatGPT, so it's like, settle down, Brad. You've used enough of this today. Sign up for free. I'm just not signed in. Log in. Hold on. We can do this. You guys don't care that we're still on the air, right? 12:15? It's fine. Let me in. Give me the script. Give me the audio of the script. It's so much better than me reading it. Where'd it go? I lost it. All right, I have to go back because I want to finish reading it. I might have lost it. All right, I'm going to stop. This is going to happen again. I got to put Paul in let's see. Movie. Let's see. What's a good movie? don't know. I'm on the spot. Oh, I wish I didn't delete what I just had. It was so good. I'm going to stop. It'll be fine. We'll do a show again tomorrow. It's all going to work just fine. Everything's cool. I'm just going to play a song and wrap it up. Thank you for listening. Thanks to Scott Wilson for joining me. Sorry the Bills lost 38-0. Happy to have Scott on. Happy to get into football. Happy to get into Hallmark season. Happy to think of ChatGPT creating Christmas movies with Paul Peck in them. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to play a song. It's going to be a good one. This is going to be a good, I don't know what it's going to be. Ryan Adams. All right. Thanks for listening to episode 146 of Writer Radio. It will be available in podcast form shortly, and I'll be back with you tomorrow live at 10 a.m. here on Writer Radio.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
I don't know. Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
You get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?